Hey guys, happy Saturday morning to you. I wanted to do an outfit change video for baby Janika because she hasn't been on camera in a while and I was going to change her outfit anyways. So I'm going to be putting her in this really cute jacquard. It's a little romper. It's technically meant for summer, but I'm going to actually put a long sleeve onesie underneath with some tights and a sweater. So I'm hoping that will be okay for the fall cooler weather that we're having, because it is definitely cooled down and it's been cold and rainy here lately, which really is a bummer because it truly seals the deal that winter is on its way, which completely bums me out. I won't lie, because I'm definitely a warm weather girl. It's just my nature. I'm technically almost every day feeling cool or cold. So, yeah, oh well, not much you can do about it though. So there's baby Janika. She is as cute as a button. And while changing, I'm gonna chit-chat a little bit about just events that I've seen occur on a doll forum. I'm Doll Fan, that I have some friends there that I talk to all the time. I have lots of friends there. And just something that's, once again, it's a common topic of conversation that I tend to feel pretty strongly about because I see it happening more and more is, and pardon the noise, you're going to hear my dogs barking and being a little crazy in the background because they're ultra playful this morning. I've been trying to find a time frame where they're not barking or playing or being noisy, but it's just not happening, so it'll be in the background. Sorry about that. But, you know, something that's bugging me yet again is when you purchase a doll and you ask the questions, you see pictures, and you always ask the questions, are there any issues with the doll? Any problems? And unfortunately, majority of the time, people are not being 100% honest, and it bugs me. It really bothers me because these dolls are so expensive, and you'll notice this is bunched up here, but we'll hide that underneath the clothes because she's just a little girl. She's just a newborn. But the thing that bothers me is that I've always gone on the notion that honesty is the best policy, because I would expect someone to do the very same for me in return. And I'm finding more and more that that doesn't happen. And I get that people may end up with a doll that has some issues and they don't want to go back to the seller, but that's really where you should start instead of passing the problems on to yet another collector who wasn't even aware. And the common answer that most sellers will give you is, oh, I didn't notice. I mean, it's happened to me before, and it's just happened to a friend of mine. And I'm really bothered by it because there's certain things that when you receive a doll and you look the doll over, there's no way you can miss certain things. You know, if the paint's peeling, I mean, if you really look a doll over, when you receive the doll, you're going to be aware of these things. I inspect every doll I get after I do the box opening. Yes, y'all see my box openings and everything. But after I'm done with the videoing, I literally inspect every doll I've ever gotten from head to toe because I'm trying to prevent, you know, problems and discovering something down the road and then going, God, was that there when I got the doll? Or is it something that I did to the doll? So I actually video the inspection just so that I have it on video. It's date stamped. So should I run across any issues, I can go back to the seller and say, look, this is when I received the doll. This is the condition the doll came in. And then I have a leg to stand on that it didn't happen in my possession or after I had already obtained the doll. And I'm finding that people are just willing to pass off their issues. And I think it's wrong. It really bothers me. And it makes buying dolls on the secondary market very scary to me, because I want to trust who I'm buying from. And I feel like you can't trust almost anybody anymore, because they're not going to be 100% honest with you. And I just think that's terrible. For what we're spending on these dolls, good gracious. I mean, we should be able to, know that we're getting a good quality doll, that the seller is taking the time to inspect the baby, which, back to, inspecting the baby before I send a baby out. So if I sell a doll, before I package that baby up, I do a whole nother inspection. And if I find that there is anything that I might be concerned of, then I notify the buyer. And I give them the option, because I don't want to have to spend my money to pay for shipping and then, go, oh, well, there's a good chance that this is going to come back because this is what I found on the doll. Not to mention, it's just the honest and correct thing to do, I think. I think it's the right thing to do. But I wish other people did the same. And I guess human nature is not always to do the right thing. I don't understand it myself. But so anyways, back to what I'm explaining and why I'm talking about this is a good friend of mine on Doll Fan just purchased a doll, received the doll, and then, much to her surprise, there's something wrong with the doll. The seller claims she didn't know anything about it, didn't notice it, and it's one of those things that it's hard to miss. So then it begs the question that my friend and I were talking about, is expectations of dolls that we receive. And it makes me go back to the question in my mind is, are my standards too high? Because I am so picky, and because I am so picky and I look everything over with a fine-tooth comb, I guess I make the assumption that everybody else would do the same and expect the same, high standards for a doll they just purchased. But I'm finding it may not be the case. So it makes me think, wow, maybe my standards are just way too high. My expectations are way too high. But yet, then I go back to, the dolls that I have and the purchases that I've made, and I can use, once again, Janika tends to be the always my example. But I got Janika from the secondary market from another collector who got her directly from Claire. And when we buy from other collectors, we don't know how much they handle them. They can kind of try to give us an idea of how much they handle them, but you really don't know until you receive the doll what condition it's in, how much it was handled, how it was treated, until you see it. When I received this baby, I was kind of shocked at the sense that she looked like she had just came straight from Claire. Like, I don't think this collector overly handled her. I think she's a collector that tends to be a lot like me. I don't overly handle all my dolls, so silicones especially. Reborns I handle a lot, but that's just the nature of why I keep a reborn, so I don't have to handle my silicones very often. You see that I don't change Janika very often because I don't want anything to happen to her. Not that I'm afraid it will, but it's me. But this baby showed up, and when I unboxed her, it really was like unboxing her directly from Claire, because she was just in immaculate condition. There's not a single flaw that I can find on her. And believe me, I've been over her with a fine-tooth comb. I have looked, and I have yet to find one, which is great. But that leads me to think that all my dolls that I buy on the secondary market should, show up like this. And they don't. And, unfortunately, there's no predicting to what you're going to get either, which is the big disappointment of the doll collecting world, I think. And I'm not saying that people intentionally do it. I think some do. Don't get me wrong. I think there are some sellers out there that are knowingly passing along a poor quality doll or a problem doll that they just want to get rid of and then claim they didn't know. But I don't think all collectors are like that. I think that there is just a gap in what different people think is normal. And because I've had the absolute best quality dolls in my collection, I know what a good quality doll is. I know what the typical expectation should be when you get a doll from an artist, especially certain artists, because I've had almost, not every artist out there, but I've had a doll by majority of the artists out there anymore. So I know what they should be showing up looking like versus what's not normal and what's not acceptable when you receive a new silicone doll. I know that new collectors don't know what to expect, and they receive a new silicone doll, and they think, okay, this must be the normal because it didn't show up in pictures, but close up you see all these flaws with the silicone or seams or tags or just gloppiness, or I don't know how to describe it really, depending on the doll we're talking about, but I can tell you it is not the normal. And I kind of have come to the point after really thinking about it for months and months and months, because I've seen all these problems crop up. We've seen people have discussions about their unhappiness about certain, silicone doll editions. But my bottom line is, it's my money. And if my standards are what my standards are, then that's my prerogative to expect that type of quality when I invest my money in a new doll. And, I'm not going to settle, I guess, is what it really comes down to. And at the end of the day, I'm not going to settle for a doll that's subpar or something that I'm not going to be happy with, just because it's just not in my nature. I'm a little OCD. I want my dolls to be perfect, and that's kind of it is what it is for me. And it might not be the case for everybody, and that might not be right for everybody, but that's how I view this hobby and the money that I'm willing to spend on this hobby. And I find that it's my prerogative, and if other people are happy with settling for something that's, subpar, then that's their prerogative. Just like this is my prerogative, that I'm picky, I'm picky. But if you do come across the fact that you think that you might be the same way, my best advice to you when you receive a doll, thoroughly check the doll over as soon as you open the box. After you've done the box opening and the oohs and the ahs and the initial excitement wears off, take a moment and really just strip the doll down. Look them over from head to toe. Look at the ears, the mouth, especially like the inside of the mouth, the eyes, and, the lashes and the glue that keeps the eyes in. That's another big thing for me. If they're not clean eyes and they have goopy glue and they have stuff covering the eyes, it's going to drive me crazy. I won't be happy with it. Check the hands, check the creases, the inside elbow creases behind the knees, because those are the places that, you might find some issues if the doll was handled a lot or improperly from the previous owner. But they're also the common areas that you run into problems. And it's just better to inspect the doll, get it out of the way, and know what you've got to make sure you're happy, so that should something be wrong with the doll, you don't miss that time frame of being able to send the doll back to get your money back if there's, an issue. So that's my advice to everybody. I think that that's important to say. And this is purely my opinion only. Like I said, this has just been my experience. I only share my own experiences with you because I'm hoping that it helps, because I've been heartbroken. I've been completely gutted by receiving dolls that were just awful or ripped, torn, just so many problems, paint peeling. And I'm hoping that maybe by me sharing these experiences with you, that maybe it'll prevent someone from having the same problem in the future, because a lot of these things tend to be costly mistakes or costly problems that if you get stuck with them, it really sours the taste in my mouth or in your mouth as a collector, and it turns a lot of people off. And I think we lose some really good collectors because they just get so turned off by the whole experience, and they just don't want to deal with it, and they give up collecting altogether. And I find that's really sad. So yeah, that's basically it, guys. That's my rant. Not a rant. I'm just trying to kind of openly discuss things. I discuss things that mean something to me and that may or may not help someone in the future. I don't know. It's just how I am, I guess. I like to talk about things and try to hopefully help someone's experience. So